Whoa, hello. Hi, everyone. I love that. I just saw all of these faces. Pow, pow. Hi. Yeah, big waves. If you guys feel like scrolling through all of the gallery view of everyone, it's super nice to see all your faces. I encourage you to see the faces of other people who are here right now. We're going to sit for just a minute and give a few people a couple extra minutes to arrive. If you can gather something to draw on, it could be paper, it could be a tablet, could be any other surface if you're choosing, but something to draw on. I've got like a big sketchbook here, and then just some of your desired tools, and those could be tools that are familiar to you and your favorites, or those could be just things you have but haven't normally used. I encourage that because we're just gonna be really expressive today and explore some things. So if you've got like a set of crayons or markers or something that you haven't actually gotten comfortable with yet, now might be a good time. So let's just take a few minutes, gather your stuff. I'll be here. I'm just going to doodle while I wait, and I encourage you to do the same if you're interested. So hello for anyone who's joining us, because I know we're kind of trickling in right now. I've suggested everyone grab a surface to draw on and something you want to draw with, either something you're familiar with or something new to explore. And I'm just spending this lovely time waiting, pausing, and doodling at the same time before we dive in. All right. It's 7:04, so I think we should just get going. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This is very exciting because the Believer is hosting, and I worked a little bit with them before. I really love the magazine, and I really love that they're doing this, giving us a chance to connect once a week and make comics together.
Connected to, yep. Connected to, and snack book.
Oh, so I thought that was someone talking to me. It was a computer talking to someone else. So tonight we're going to be drawing health. That I think we kind of need to explore the definition of as a way to access it. And I'll tell you a little bit about my work before we dive into that, because it's just health in general is sort of an obsession of mine. I would say it was forced upon me because when I was 23, I started to experience really intense chronic pain. And actually, I didn't really identify it before, but I'd already been experiencing it for about a decade at that point, and I just kind of assumed that that was what living in a body was like. But the chronic pain that came new when I was 23 was in my throat, and it had to do with speech and expressing myself. And I'm a very wordy and vocally expressive person. I love sing and connecting with friends, and my neighbors and strangers was always through the voice first. So that was a big experience for me. I released a memoir about it in 2018 called Dumb, Living Without a Voice. And this was my first major graphic medicine work. In fact, probably my first graphic medicine work ever, because I didn't know what graphic medicine was until I made this. And then the community around graphic medicine found me and said, "Whoa, you're doing what we do. Like, this is us. You're one of us." And it was very exciting because I've been so inspired by that community and finding all of the work that has revealed itself to me through getting to know people and going to graphic medicine conferences. And it's just endlessly fascinating. And so this was a very personal experience of health, and it's one that I'm living with today that I'll definitely talk a bit about more, just kind of as we go, because it's very much a part of who I am. And this book that just came out also with Fantagraphics, this is called Dancing After 10. And this is actually a graphic memoir that I explored with another person. Her name is Vivian Chong, and she's the subject. It's her memoir, it's her book. But Vivian experienced a quite traumatic medical reaction called TEN, which is toxic epidermal necrolysis. It came about just by fluke. There was a medication she took to take care of a headache, and ultimately her body responded with this very intense reaction that hospitalized her for quite a while. Her recovery has been, well, it was a few years, I think, of adjusting and rehabilitating. But as she is now, you'd never know that she'd gone through something like that, because she's really come through it, creating a new life for herself with blindness, because the TEN left her blind from scar tissue over her eyes. And we created this book together because she had started drawing about the experience actually right after the hospital. And she was drawing about the hospital and about her health experiences, even her health experiences within the system. So she started it, and then her vision deteriorated and she couldn't finish it. And that's where I came in 15 years later. So we made this book together, but it was very much a sort of collaboration with her past work, and then her present self telling me these stories and trying to make her experiences of health really clear to the reader. So that's just come out from Fantagraphics in May this year. And those are my major experiences with interpreting health on the page. Before we go much further, I'm going to tell you that today I want to guide you through just a couple of small moments throughout our time together of just checking in, pausing, being with our bodies, and to reflect on what that idea of health actually is. Because I keep saying the word, but really we don't define it that often. I think we sort of take the idea for granted that health is the absence of illness and the absence of pain. But it's also something. It's not just the absence of something. So what I'd like to do right now, and this is something I do for myself anytime that I'm teaching, because I think it's a little bit humanizing and it takes me off the stage, off the pedestal a little bit, out of that role of like imparting knowledge and more into just being a human here with you right now. So what I'd like to start with is something that I would call a resource check. So I'm sitting here in this chair. I think most of you are also sitting. So that gives us an opportunity just to get a sense of how we feel sitting. Is there like any discomfort? Are you feeling settled? If something is missing and you want to correct it, if something needs a little shift, it's a good time to do that as you start, as you're sort of settling in and getting ready. And the things I like to check in with would start with just the moment of my physical comfort. Like I said, how am I feeling in this chair? Am I comfortable? Do I need to lean back? Do I need to find a cushion? Do I want to change positions? Great, just to know how I'm feeling right now. A little stretch, that's great. And the next thing is just to quickly ask myself, and you can do this like with your eyes closed, sitting and breathing, just, letting that breath happen however it is. How am I doing right now with regards to my basic needs? So I'm thinking food. Am I hungry? When was the last time I ate? And if it was recently, maybe you could just reflect on the food and how good it was to eat it. And next I would just ask myself, when was the last time I had water or some other form of hydration? Just checking in. It might have been 5 minutes ago, it might have been a few hours ago. Just want to know, when was that? And the next thing I want to ask is, am I well slept? Did I sleep okay last night? Have I had a hard day? Just, has my energy been spent? Or am I feeling like I still have some for this moment? And then I'll check in, go a little further into that idea of a hard day or a good day, just to know, is there anything in my life right now that's particularly challenging for me emotionally or taxing for me mentally? Just kind of generally, is there anything going on that I should hold in my experience so that I'm not expecting something of myself that I don't have right now? Because even sometimes for me, sitting down to draw, I'll sit down thinking, well, I'm going to draw. Of course I can do this. And like, it's my job. So I'll sit down to draw and then just be struggling and something is off and I don't know what's going on and I don't like what I'm drawing and it just sort of spirals into like, oh, am I even good at this? Do I even know what I'm doing? But checking in beforehand to know there might be another reason I feel that way. That can really help me lower my expectations for that drawing moment, or maybe take care of something that I need to take care of before I actually sit down and try to be creative. Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, if I'm really tired, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing good's gonna happen. If I'm really tired, it would be much better for me to go lie down than to try and make something, especially because I want to make good things. I want to make things that I really like. And it might not even be that what I'm making is bad, but it might just be that because I'm so tired, I'm just thinking really negatively about it. I'm just feeling weighed down. So when I look at it, I'm not exactly seeing what's there. I'm kind of seeing it through my tiredness. And it really changes whether or not I like it. So the same goes for being hungry. I mean, I'm like a hangry person. Like if I'm hungry, I'm like, the world is a horrible place. Everyone get the fuck out of my way. Like I can't function. So eating first is extremely important for me, and sleep extremely important for me. And hydration, I think, is important for all of us, but it's one of those sneaky ones that doesn't have an immediate negative effect. It's just kind of lowering your overall receptivity, your overall like feeling of well-being if you're depleted in hydration. So those are all things I want to check. And the emotional one, that's an interesting piece for creating art, because sometimes we're making art specifically to work with one of those emotional challenges, to work with something that we're trying to make sense of, or something we just want to get out. It's just like, put it on the page, put it out here for me. So it doesn't mean don't create when you're in a bad emotional space or when you're in pain. But I like to know. I like to know going in, like, if I'm dealing with something really hard right now, if there's some relationship in my life that's really challenging, if there's a looming deadline or change, honestly, change, even good change, can be a little destabilizing. So I like to just know, like, let me just remember, my life is happening right now around the fact that I'm drawing. And the fact that I'm drawing doesn't just wipe all of that away. So if you guys want to draw a little bit, I have another way to get into this idea. This idea of checking in with yourself, but also this idea of what health actually is and what it feels like. Because I could give you that list again and say, well, you're really healthy when you're well slept and when you're well hydrated and when you've eaten enough and when you're emotionally in tune with yourself. That's the picture of health. But really, I can't say that. That's so reductive. It's so small. And I think we all understand a feeling of health maybe more than that idea or the list. You know, the list itself isn't enough. So this is a really simple exercise, and you can do it like over and over again if you want to. I'm just going to introduce it and then say if you want to do it like throughout the workshop, or if you want to make a practice of it and do it every day, or you just want to try it and see what happens. It's so simple, and I really like it because it's really loose and it can be so different every day. But first you're going to grab whatever surface you're drawing on. Yeah, I mean, you can hold it up. I see a couple of these, like people are, yeah. I love this. I'm sure I might be the only one who's looking at all of you doing that, but it's a delight. Anyway, so what you're going to do is just make a really, really rough outline of a body, and it's sort of like your body. Mine, I sort of started it like a little too low, so I was struggling to fit in the feet, and then the legs just sort of crisscrossed. I don't know. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's not the point. So yeah, just outline your body in the most basic way. So once you have your outline, your body drawing, I want you to start scanning your body. And you can start somewhere easy, like the top of your head, and move just all the way down. Or just start wherever you feel the most sensation. So for me, there's a lot of sensation right here because I feel nervous about doing this workshop, even though it's what I love to do and I enjoy it very much. I still feel a nervousness of like really wanting to do well. So that's like a strong feeling of sensation for me right here. But I would say just pick a place. It can be anywhere. And then start to fill in this outline. Fill it in with what that feeling is, whatever it is. And it doesn't even need a name. I have nervousness that I named this feeling, but if I were to describe it to you right now, it would be more like kind of jittery, spiky, like lines of electricity sort of shooting through here and sometimes fluttering in the middle of my body. So that doesn't need a name. That's just what it feels like. And then I can draw that. And once you've had one section of your body that you feel like you've described, you can just move to the next place that you really feel, or the next place that just intuitively draws your attention. I really recommend checking in with where your feet are. Sometimes what I do for that actually is I like rub my feet on the ground, or I press them into the ground to be like, how does this actually feel? I can't feel my feet that well. So I'm going to try to feel them. put some attention there. Press into whatever surface I'm feeling. Get the texture. And this can be really like you can be as abstract as you want, or you can like draw a picture inside. Like I had a friend once who did an internal sort of scan of his body, and he would say, feel like there's this jungle in there. And I know that there are all these creatures living in the jungle, and they kind of like slink around. So I have a sense of like a tiger. Tiger feels really powerful, but I can't always find it. It's just like somewhere in this jungle. So you could be filling in the scope of your body with just like beautiful lush leaves or landscapes or a playground or an underwater scene or outer space. It doesn't have to be abstract. It's just expressing something that you feel. You can try, I've been like switching between different pens because I like to have a fine tip that I can draw some level of precision with. And then I've also got just like a pencil crayon, which you call in the States a colored pencil, I believe. And the color I've chosen is black, so I'm really nailing all of the possibilities here. But I've also got a little brush pen with me because I want to be able to like, yeah, do whatever each part really feels like. Try to find the expression there. So, after you've done this to your satisfaction, because you may finish quick, you may want to spend a lot of time on this. I'm just going to say, do whatever you feel. Like if you want to keep going, keep going. If you want to be done, be done. And if you are done, then I'm going to go back to just sitting with your breathing. This is another pause that I want to experiment with. And actually draw with your finger or with your mind the outline of your body that you just drew on the page. Like just find the outline of you. I like doing it with my hand because it's really clear, but if you do it in your mind, it can feel really interesting as well. It's just different kinds of information. You can just enjoy the sensation. It's kind of like, I don't know if you did this as a kid, when a teacher would get you to put your hand on a piece of paper and draw an outline, and then you'd like, draw a turkey or something. But the feeling was my favorite part, the feeling of the pen just going around the whole outline, all between the fingers. It's such an interesting part of the body that we don't always pay attention to, and it feels really good. After you've done that, maybe just close your eyes for a second and like let the feeling just kind of sit and sink in. Okay. So let me just check the time here. Great. So now that we've done this check-in and depicted what we're feeling in our bodies, I'd love you to take a look at this drawing that you've made and start to identify which parts of what you've drawn here feel healthy to you. This can be a challenge. It can be hard because we're really, really good at finding and feeling and pointing out and naming the places that hurt and the places that are not the way we want them to be. But if you reflect on your drawing, is there any part that feels warm, or is there a sense of space or softness anywhere? The strength, is there part of your body that you just feel really strong in? And actually those places you might find are the spaces between things as well. The spaces between the parts that hurt are the ones that we don't pay attention to, and we're sort of taking for granted that they're functioning really, really well. I also want to note that this picture you've drawn, this picture would look different probably every day, and many times throughout the day too. So with all of my descriptions of how it could be, what might be there, you may be resonating with some of them and maybe not. And that doesn't mean it's not in your body. That doesn't mean that there's nowhere to you that feels healthy. It's just probably not the most evident, or it might just be this moment. It could be that in an hour, you're like, wow, between my toes feels amazing. That's one for me that always feels good. Between my toes is never painful. It's always like delightful, ticklish. It's like kind of bubbly and cheerful if I actually try to personify it. But pretty much every other part of my body can be really painful if I don't know, if I get into a certain situation, or also sometimes it just is, because I experience pain as an expression in my body a lot, and I believe in it as an expression of maybe something that's needed, something that's happening, something that isn't in words. So we've now reached the halfway mark in our session, and I want to show you what I drew, and then I'm going to ask if anybody wants to share. So I just want to let you see this. I can't, it's hard to show the whole thing actually. I'll come back. So for me, these things are, remember I was telling you about the nervousness in my like diaphragm area, like the middle of my body, cross like that. That's all of this like really jagged stuff. And then I was feeling like in my guts just below is just like swirling energy. Like it's not jagged, it's not nervous, but like, I don't know, it's like preparation, like something's gonna happen. But I was feeling this mega heartbeat. Like, when I get nervous, my heart pounds. I mean, it pounds in lots of situations, but definitely in nervousness, I really noticed like it feels strong. So I was trying to capture these like beating things, but also it kind of expansive because I was feeling nervous and excited, and nervous because I cared, not nervous because I thought something bad was going to happen. And I think that would probably not feel so big, or it would feel like heavier. But this was something of how it felt today. But if I keep going up, then I was feeling like I'm actually, these lines here that are thicker, I was trying to capture the feeling of the back of my head, like sort of back here, feeling more solid. And then the top of my head, just, this is me like having so much to give, like so many ideas and so much that I want to share, and being excited to really put it out. And then I was connecting with just like my limbs often feel less sensation. So they're kind of like this flowing, like light line. And then at my hands is like this glowing of, that's where I actually give things from a lot of the time. It's like making things or offering something. You can think of like giving someone something with your hand out. So I had them kind of glowing with this fuzzy warmth. And then I actually filled in these really dark portions here as a way to express solidity, because I was feeling my sits bones on my chair, and that's sort of approximately where they would be. But, this is a standing figure and I was sitting down, so it's hard to describe that. And then I was feeling like each of the points of contact of my foot with the floor really specifically. Like my foot was not one big object, it was like each of those points, or at my heel and at my middle of my foot, like the ball of my foot, and then also at the toe. It was like, that's where the solidity and the contact was. So anyway, this was my workshop body. And now, if you're ready, if you'd like to share something, and you can definitely talk about it, so you don't have to just hold it up, but you can explain like I did. You can raise your hand either like this, or you can use the raise hand function in the reactions bar at the bottom. There's a little reactions button. And then you'll be like given the capacity to share, to speak. I'm just gonna give a minute or two for people to decide if they want to share right now. Hi, Rolando.
Oh,
It's you.
I didn't know. I didn't know the video was gonna switch over to me. That's crazy.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Wow. This is a little. I'm a little stage. I have a little bit of stage fright right now. I'm gonna do my best.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, I don't know if I should introduce myself. I guess I'll just say my name. My name is Rolando Balcava. I'm actually a student at Ohio State University studying medical humanities. And I've been doing a lot of work with graphic medicine, and so I'm a huge fan of Georgia Weber, who's great. Um, and I wanted to share my image because I feel like I'm learning quite a bit about drawing right now. I like writing. I have a blog. I do a lot of writing on my own, but I don't do a lot of drawing, even though I study comics. So I came up with this. I don't know if you can see it. There's a lot of pencil right here. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah.
Is it switched, or because I think it's backwards?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, let me see if I can mirror my thing.
It's not backwards for us. It's just backwards for you.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, then. So you can see what this says and stuff.
Oh yeah, I couldn't read the text before, but yes.
Okay, great. So in the beginning, in the opening, you got Treasure Weber opened with like a moment of reflection, and the thing that came up to me, like the thing that was in my head in that reflection was that I don't like my quarantine body. Like I've been getting a lot of weight. I don't go to the gym. I sit in my chair a lot, and it's been really frustrating. So the outline I came up with was this, and in the motions that I noticed, the first part I drew these emanating lines out of my torso because that's where the weight has been, where the centralized weight gain is going on. And then I drew this cloud here with like little thunderstorms. because at the same time, like even though we're in quarantine, I have to finish my degree. So there's all these voices telling me of all the things that, even though I'm worried about my survival, I still have to produce work. So this storm is just like a storm of noise, just all these reminders telling me what I need to focus on, what I need to do. And when we got to the point where we talked about where does it feel good, I pointed to my arms and shoulders, because even though like yeah, there is a kind of waking going on, I'm still trying to be active, and my arms and shoulders are doing a lot of that. I'm doing push-ups, I'm doing calisthenics at home, and I'm really trying, and my arms and shoulders remind me that, like, if I just keep at it, I can do something about this, but it's going to take a lot of work. So my arms and shoulders are doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So that's my image.
Wow, thank you, Rolando. I want to say, I mean, thank you so much for sharing. And I just want to recommend or suggest or invite you to like squeeze your shoulders, like roll them, give them some stretch and some thanks, because they're doing all of the work that you would normally be using your whole body for. So yeah, just like, thank you. This is great. You're working so hard. That's wonderful. Is there someone else who would like to share their body drawing? I'm just going to give it a pause. Let someone decide. Hi there. You're Tatiana.
Hello. Yeah, hey.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks so much for a great class or talk. I'm learning a lot. Yeah, I'm Tatiana Gill. This is my drawing. So
Wow.
I had nothing but complaints.
Oh,
I just tried to draw some weights where it felt like really heavy. Like, yeah, I was going really literal with like kettlebells and a dumbbell. And then like knots where things were just really tight. Yeah, I went almost entirely for metaphors here. And then just sort of, yeah, along my hips where things are just like I can sort of feel, I'm aware of them, but then they're also sort of like, I don't know what it feels like. It just feels tangled up basically. So I kind of just drew that like these sort of weird spider web things. And then my calves are like tightly coiled springs because that tends to be a place that hurts just from like fight or flight tension, I think.
wow.
So yeah, and then just like strings and pulleys where basically my joints ache or make themselves aware, and then some itchy spots. I don't know if this can be seen, but like my eye is just basically sand because it feels dry and itchy. And oh yeah, and this is just from like a muscle cramp. I just drew like a knife in there. And yeah, just like a question mark. I have no idea what's happening. Yeah, someplace I check and I'm just like, I don't know. So
That's
my
that's
thanks.
common sometimes. We just like can't understand all of the things that we're feeling, or sometimes not. Like the places we can't feel, like why can't I feel that? I don't know. It's just not there. But I think a lot of us are experiencing what Rolando mentioned, and also what you're mentioning of like something about this new life is changing how we're relating to our bodies, or what feels good and what feels really bad. That like it could be more weight, or it could be the tension you talked about, like the fight or flight being activated because we're just all experiencing fear at quite a large scale. And then we still have our lives. We still have all the things. So I think your body is doing everything it can to keep you alive and healthy right now. And it's really good to acknowledge that like all this pain is real, and that it's part of you like working really hard through it. It's just like being here, being able to stay here. And I hope that at some point, if you are to repeat this exercise, or even just sort of pause with yourself, you can find your version of in between your toes. Because I've got, oh, yeah, I've got the chronic pain all over the place. And actually, like, my hands are a big one. For some reason, right now, my middle left finger is really swollen and inflamed, and it's really painful, and I just don't know why. Nothing happened. It's just doing that. I'm doing my best to work with it, but I just sometimes can feel totally overwhelmed by all of the things that are going wrong, or all of the things that are making me feel like I can't participate in my life the way that I want to. So that's when I really lean on these in between my toes feelings. I really hope this doesn't gross anybody out, but also if it does, I'm sorry, it feels really good for me. And if that place, I can just keep reminding myself of that and connecting to that sensation, it doesn't fix anything, but it does take away the feeling that everything is going wrong. And so I might even like just draw my feet for a while just to connect as much as I can, this sense of like representing some part of me that feels healthy. That's sort of turned into giving you advice, and I didn't really mean that, but I really appreciated everything you shared. I relate to it very much, and yeah, I'm glad that you feel like you're learning something today, or you're experiencing new things, because I hope that I really believe in the like cycles of pain. I experience the cycles of pain, and having new experiences, even ones that we're not sure if we're going to like or not like, kind of breaks the cycle up a little bit. It just loosens all that habitual tightness or spiraling, or you're just trying to slightly change the direction that your mind and body are going, and you get a little more space to have other experiences and learn new things. So thank you for sharing that. And I'll give another minute here if anybody else wants to raise their hand and share their work, share their experience of today. Hi there. Is that Matthew? You're still on mute.
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hi, nice to meet you.
All right, nice to meet you as well. Yeah, this is sort of what was going on for me through this little drawing exercise.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess for some context, I deal with a lot of anxiety.
Yeah,
So
me too.
a lot of that kind of feels more in my head. So this sort of like spiraling, kind of like static feeling a lot of the time, which sometimes it will make its way down, feel in the pit of my stomach, that sort of like pulsing feeling. And whenever I get like that, I start trying to focus on things like how are my arms feeling, how are my legs feeling.
Yeah.
And so usually my arms are things that feel best because I feel a bit more strength in them. I feel like I can still touch things, can still hold on to things, know where I am, whereas my legs sometimes feel a little weaker.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll try and just go back, focus, this is how my hands and arms are feeling.
Yeah. Is that why there were arrows pointing to like your shoulders on the outside?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's so you're sort of pointing out like this feels good.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean that drawing is very relatable and expressive with regards to the spiraling head and the way the lines were sort of spiked, like it was like a prickly spiral. That's the way I saw it. It looks very much like anxiety. And then this, bursting something in your guts too, that seemed to be a very strong sensation just because you used more of that like thick black line and it was like a real focus in the drawing. And I mean, these are very related, like deeply. There's a nerve that just goes straight from one to the other. The vagus nerve. It's a beautiful nerve actually that has a lot to do with our calming and our social engagement capacity. And what I really like about your drawing is how like clear and beautiful those things are, because experiencing my own anxiety, I never think that it's beautiful. I never appreciate that it could be beautiful. But I see it in like even all the drawings that we've seen so far. I'm like, this is a way to make this experience beautiful, even just to communicate it to someone else and have that moment of it not being only ours, or that we're like locked in and it's just that we're alone in it, or that others can't understand. I mean, this is what I love about drawing from experience and drawing personal work, because you can translate all of those things that if I were just to look at you, Matthew, like I would never know any of this. I don't see the spiral in your head when I look at you from the outside, but the drawing is beautiful and I really feel like I understand it. And I hope, I mean, if you repeat this ever, I hope that you can find a clear expression, or even just explore the different expressions of what that strength in your arms feels like. Because it makes a lot of sense, and it's very natural that it would be the space you don't focus on because you're like, that part's good. But I'd be so curious, based on how clear these other parts of your drawing were, like what the clarity of image would be for these parts that you feel secure with, that you can, know your place in the world, touch things, hold things, know where you are. That would be fascinating to me. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing about that. I think a lot of people are really feeling anxiety right now too, so it's like that's a big one. Does anyone else want to share? All right, so I think this is maybe a good moment. I'm just going to check my time. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So I'd really like to actually, I wonder how we can do this, if maybe in the chat would be the best way. I'm going to ask you guys a question. And the question is, to you, like what activities, or it can be thoughts, practices, or feelings. What is health for you right now? I mean, maybe in general, maybe it's good to connect to how it always is felt. Like Rolando mentioned, exercising is like a really important part of his health, and that's not as accessible as posing a challenge. So I'd love to know about what feels healthy to you from the before times, but also what's working for you now. And it can be super tiny, like my, inner toe, in between toe sensation, or it can be like, yeah, my long walks outside where it's safe to be right now, or my phone conversations with my mother. I'm really curious if you want to just drop things into the chat so that I'll say them out loud so that we can all have a sense of that. And I really encourage you as well, if you want, to start drawing one of those activities for yourself. Like for me, I'm gonna just start doing it right now, actually. For me, I've recently taken up running because I have so much anxiety and I need somewhere to put this energy. I mostly just like to sit in it because it makes me so tired, but I recently realized that anxiety is like energy in motion, and it's like trying to get something done. And there's nothing to get done. I can't change the way the world is right now. And I am safe where I am. I'm safe where I live. I'm lucky to have that. But the feeling that I have to do something is just twisting me up. It's just filling me with this energy, and I need something to do. So I recently started running. So I'm going to draw myself running right now, in just the loosest capacity, because we're doing this really, really fast. But one thing that I definitely want to communicate about my experience running, because it really is a sense of health that is so much bigger than me, and I think it's really beautiful as an image, but I've never tried to put it on paper, is the way that running actually feels kind of like my body is rushing water, the way that water like rushes from a lake or from the sea onto the shore. And if you look at waves, they sort of like tumble over each other, and there's this like constant forward motion, but there's also lots of cyclical motion. It's like these circles going over and over, and something crashing and dissolving, but it just kind of sprays and splashes. And sometimes when I'm running, I'm just like, I am this wave like rushing onto the shore, and it feels so amazing to have that image that my body is not just my body, but it's this other big thing. Oh, this is beautiful. I'm just going to look at the chat and read out what I'm hearing that makes other people feel healthy right now. So Catherine says reading books she meant to read before, or they meant to read. Sorry, Catherine, I didn't ask about your pronouns first. That's my mistake. Julie says pizza, 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 eating all the pizza. I totally agree, except for that I can't eat gluten, so the pizza that I can make is not as good, anywhere near as good as regular gluten pizza. But man, it's a comfort food, so I'm very happy for it. Rosalie says taking deep breaths. And man, yeah, Rosalie, especially because COVID is a lung issue. So I like every time I can really breathe, it feels so relieving and healthy and good. And the times when I'm having anxiety and I can't breathe very well can really get me twisted up. But trying to just like let those things happen and then focus much, much more on moments when it feels good, it's a little shift for me. The sound and smell of hand grinding coffee beans in the morning. Cynthia, I've been trying to buy a hand grinder for my coffee beans for like 3 months and they all sold out because every other human who makes coffee at home had the same idea that I did, and apparently that you did too. Oh my gosh, I still don't have one, but that's on my list, and oh, yeah, I kind of love that everyone's using a hand grinder now. Joan says just being alive. I mean, that's like the most basic thing we can appreciate, right? Is that we're here, and that means that a lot is really working in our bodies and in our lives to support us continuing to be here. So that's amazing. Rolando says night walking, taking walks really late at night because no one's out, and you can walk without a mask on, and the added bonus of physical activity with the quieting of the mind. Chris says sleep. Sleep is so important. Oh my God, it can be really hard right now, but it's just, oh yeah, sleep is some kind of magic. Lowering myself into a piping hot bath. Yes, Dylan, that is a wonderful way to connect to feeling healthy. You can draw that too. Would you draw yourself like getting into the bath and just steam shooting up? Like a lobster being dropped into boiling water? You're suddenly all red and cooked. Tatiana says stretching. Okay, this one, everyone stop what you're doing. We're gonna stretch for 3 minutes. I actually, okay, just make it happen. Like it doesn't, it doesn't have to be like so natural or feeling perfect, but just like wherever in your body wants to stretch, just do it. Oh my God, and you might get a good release from a stretch that brings about a yawn, and yawning will change your life. Just add like 5 to 10 minutes of yawning throughout your day. I swear, it's another kind of magic. It just makes everything easier. Ooh. Okay, while you're stretching, keep stretching, keep stretching. I'm going to read more of these wonderful sources of health. Megan says, these drawing workshops, thank you, the believer. So beautiful. It's a way to connect to people. There are other ways of connecting to people that are awesome. And also Megan says reading books for fun. Yeah, instead of for like work or information, fun. Amazing. The hummingbirds that come to my garden every day. That's amazing. Yoga poses, especially the ones where you spread your arms. Yes, get that stretch. Michelle says she's been playing a lot more music and going on walks. And I think that's pretty profound because playing music we used to do together, and now it's really like you're just doing it with yourself and with your space and whatever you like to hear. And it's such a, it's a much more like self-focused practice, which is just beautiful and centering and calms your nervous system and whole brain activity. It integrates. It's really, really lovely. Laura says, keeping a done list every day. I love this because you're not making a list of the things that you're telling yourself you should do, but like naming your accomplishments. That is awesome. Even super mundane things. I totally agree. I put down like breakfast, vitamins, tea. Like nobody's telling me I have to drink tea, but I'm like, I did it. So it's going on my list. Eileen says growing plants. That is, like a glory of being alive as well. Jake says anything that helps me into my body and have awareness on the body, dancing, walking, laughing with a friend is amazing. I hope you find ways to draw all these things. Anyone who's still drawing, like, I would still love to see any of your drawings even after the workshop, because we only have 5 minutes left. But when the workshop is done, if you want to tag the believer and post them on any of your social media, we will keep looking at them. I will keep looking at them. That would make me extremely happy. So all of these things that we're talking about, hot chicken soup against my lungs. I don't think chicken soup is supposed to be in your lungs, but I think I understand the feeling of them being close. Long walks, visiting with sisters on the phone or in person, being creative, the fresh air off the river, snuggling with your dog, doing yoga at home, running, open communication with a partner. That's a lovely thing to be doing. Walking around a reservoir, being still, dancing with my kids around the house or in the rain. I would love to see drawings of all of these beautiful things and all of these things that are absolutely expressions of health. They're just fun. Fun is healthy. Also, creativity is healthy. And choosing to do these things, if you have any goals about being creative or any goals about producing work right now, like the work doesn't come before the reward. You get into this stuff and get into your health, and the work will feel better to do. You'll want to do it. You'll feel like you're supporting yourself instead of sacrificing yourself and then catching up and repairing afterwards. It's a really weird model we have in this society. It goes all the way through like the idea that we would work all our lives and then retire. But it's like, you got to work really hard for 40 years and then you can have a break. No way. No way. You need breaks every day. You need sleep every day. You need to eat every day. You need to relax. Ideally laugh, dance, walk around, whatever, just whatever makes you feel good. There's no time when that's not appropriate. And of course you'll choose to do other things like get work done. But you can spare 5 minutes. I've been talking to the birds that visit the shack and really listening to their songs. That's beautiful, Anna. I mean, it's a wonderful time to connect with the natural world that we most often aren't able to spend time with. Kara hugs stuffed animals. I think that's adorable and also really effective. I have just one stuffed animal, but I usually am like hugging a pillow when I sleep because I'm a side sleeper. And in order to not have my chest like caved in, I hug a pillow so that there's some space, and it's very comforting. Yeah, so it's popped up a couple times here, and I just want to remind everyone again, like if you're drawing any of these things, or if you want to share your body outline drawing that we did earlier, posting it somewhere on social media and tagging at BelieverMag and tagging at GWeber, which on Instagram is GEE_Weber. I will get to see them, and I will be very excited and happy about that. So I really hope that I just get like a flood of images of people's healthful activities. And if you decide to keep going and keep drawing more outlines of your body throughout the day as time goes on, like keep tagging me. I'd love to look at that. I'd love to just feel connected that like another person is doing that too, and just know what health looks like for you. Because ultimately, we share a lot of things as human beings. Our bodies do need really similar things. Our emotions need similar things. Our spirits need similar things. But we're also specific. And I love to see the specificity of you. Well, it is 7:58. So I guess I'm saying goodbye to all of you now. And I really appreciate everyone who's come today. You're wonderful. It's been beautiful to look at this tiny collection of many, many faces. Some of them I know, a lot of them I don't. If you guys are interested, I mean, you obviously already follow The Believer and have excellent taste. But if you're interested in keeping in touch with me, I've got my Instagram that we posted about up there earlier on the chat. And also I am running a Patreon where I'm exploring this. I'm exploring these like health and creativity intersections because I really need to unravel some of my own negative relationships with health and myself. And I really think that kind of deep work just is going to totally change how people learn creativity in the future. We need to do it ourselves so we can model it and show people it's not about just burning the candle at both ends, and it's not about being a starving artist or a suffering artist. It's about taking care of yourself and then sharing yourself in a way that feels really good. So yeah, there's my Patreon in the chat. Oh, and there's those books. Those are on the Fantagraphic website, Fantagraphics website. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for being here tonight, and in general for making your work, whatever that looks like. So I want to see waves. Bye, everyone. Yes, it looks so good. All the little faces and hands. I love this. Have a good evening. Thank you so much. Bye.